Hi.
So good to see you.
I know, this is so cool. It's so nice to not, actually not in person, but to meet
Yeah,
you.
I know. We've known each other in Instagram land for probably like you're probably one of the longest that I've known, pyrographers that I've known on Instagram at least. You were like one of the first people that I knew, basically. I mean, it's been yeah, it's been a while. I don't even remember how or when I found you, but it seems like as long as I've been on Instagram, like we've known each other. You know what I mean? Which is
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah,
Really
you
cool.
were the first people I started following too. It was like, yes, finally, another wood burner. This is so awesome.
It's so funny. And now here we are with like so many pyrographers out there. It's so cool to see how it's grown so much. I would love to just start this off by having you introduce yourself to everybody. Who are you? Where can they find your work? All of that stuff.
So I'm Mallory. I have an Etsy shop, My Art of Gold. I started that. I actually started wood burning decorations for my wedding because my husband and I wanted, personal and affordable decorations for our wedding. We were kind of having like a rustic woods themed wedding,
Mm-hmm.
and I picked up my mom's 20-year-old ancient wood burner that's like 2 hours to heat up and like 2 hours to cool down.
I'm like, I've got to see that thing. I'm like, what brand is it? I want to know all the details about this first burner.
It was like an off brand, but after I went back home after we were married and I tried it again, I begged her to retire it. I was like, let it go, please.
Let's get you a new one.
Yeah, I was like, this is, I mean, I know it's got sentimental value, but oh my gosh, like 2 hours to heat. This is ridiculous.
That is so funny. That's so funny.
Yeah. So
So what year was that again? That was 20.
that was 2015 where I
Okay.
started my first wood burning. So it was like my very first time actually picking up a wood burner and trying it for the first time. So, and then we got married in 2016. We had all of our decorations displayed at our wedding. And so, and then after I moved from California to Minnesota with my
Mm-hmm.
husband, I started My Art of Gold probably about a year after that. And that was my first dive into the whole wood burning journey and Etsy shop. And so I was new to all.
Yeah, yeah, it's so fun. So you're in Minnesota now? Is that where you're at?
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
I went
Okay.
from California to Minnesota. I left everything I knew behind in California and came here after I married my husband. So
So are you home safe? Are you guys working from home? How has everything changed and shifted with COVID? Because I know you've got your little one at home, and
yeah,
you're expecting two, aren't you?
yep,
Yeah.
in July. Yeah,
Wow,
so,
so soon.
so I'm so excited. It's gonna be a full house.
Yeah, yeah.
But it hasn't really changed too much because I was able to stay at home with my little one before all of this happened. So it's kind of nice to just not really have to worry about going out and you know, for my husband, he's also blessed to be able to work from home as well
Hmm.
because he's got a lot of a job on the computer base. So
That's good.
he's able to take it wherever he can. So he can work from home, and then for me, it's kind of like, well, I watch my little one at home anyway. So the only thing I miss is taking him to the zoo and the aquarium.
You're right. I know. It would be it, one day we'll get back out and we'll be able to do those things. I'm sure one day. Um, so I would love if you could share some of your work, but I thought that I would share a piece that I have of yours in my collection,
Oh yeah.
which is this one, and I love it so much. It hangs in my kitchen, above our like dining table, and it makes me so happy. It says, "There are so many beautiful reasons to be grateful," and it's got poppies all over it, which are you guys should know by now are my favorite. And I love it so much. So here's one of her beautiful pieces. But if you have any others that you want to show people, just so that they can get a feel of your art, if they haven't seen you yet, which they would be insane to not, show us around, show us some stuff.
Yeah, well that's actually the one that you have is actually one of my favorite pieces that I've ever done because that was the
It's
first I went all out in florals and color, and so I
I well, it's in good hands. I am obsessed with it. It's on full display and very much loved. So it's in a good home, I promise.
oh thank you.
I'll take good care of it. It's out of sunlight, like it's in a good spot.
Yeah. So this is one of the ones that I just did a little while ago. I'm kind of into the whole compass thing lately, so I've been working on a lot of different compass designs, and so this was one that I just kind of I sat down to do it, and I was like, I'm just gonna go for it and see what happens.
That's so fun when it just flows out of you. What did you use to add color for it?
Watercolor.
Watercolor.
I
So
love
pretty.
water. It's like my
What
favorite.
brand do you use?
Arteza. I
Do
use.
you use the tubes? Yeah, they're so good.
Yep, they are. And I just love how the vibrant colors come through because they're just and it's so fun to work with because they have like 60 different. I think it's like 60 different watercolors. There's
Yeah, so many colors. Yeah, and there's so many pretty colors too. Like I feel like their color choices are really, really good with Arteza. Okay,
yeah.
more. Do you have more? I'm like, do you got more?
I have this one I actually just did, so I haven't sealed it yet. So this one,
Oh,
um,
pretty.
it's actually a little bit of a different style than I usually do because I usually do a lot of florals, but this one is just a leafy border.
I really like it. I
Thank
love the
you.
colors in there. Like there's it's like almost like bluish purple in some spots. I really like that.
Yeah, and I love eucalyptus, so I tried to model it a little bit after eucalyptus leaves.
So pretty. What do you
And
use to seal your pieces? What do you normally or what are you planning on sealing that piece in?
well, actually, funny story. I used to use the polyurethane clear gloss finish, and then you told me about polyacrylic clear gloss.
Yeah.
And so I went from using that to the polyacrylic. I loved the way that the polyurethane looked, like with the glossy finish and all of that, but it yellowed my white. Like every time I would paint a piece white, it would yellow it. And so I'm like, okay, I need to find a different option because I don't like how it yellows it.
Yeah. See, this one is the polyurethane. You can tell and see how yellow, you can tell how yellow it is. It gets, just over time it does that, and over anything white it tends to do that. So you switch to the polyacrylic, and do you
I
like
did.
that better?
I do actually, and I like that if I add a couple of layers, it gets about as glossy as the polyurethane. But I think what
Mm-hmm.
I like most is how it brightens up the color and makes it like
Mm,
burn super sharp. I think that's what
cool.
I was like. This is really nice, and it dries super fast. It doesn't smell bad. It's
Yeah, it's not nearly as toxic smelling as the polyurethane. The polyurethane definitely has a smell where you're like, I shouldn't be inhaling this. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then this is also one of my give a sneak peek. This is a collaboration with a another artist.
That is
So
so pretty.
yeah, I'm super excited about that design. So this will actually be um, possibly popping up in some feeds on Friday. We'll see.
That's so exciting. That's so exciting. I know I've been loving these collaborations that you're doing. Collaborations are so much fun. They're my favorite.
They are so much fun. I love working with other artists, and you get to discover a lot more about how the other person works, about their designs, and it's fascinating to me. And I'm
It
like, this
is.
just be able to work with somebody and come up with a cohesive piece that
Yeah.
you both part in doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Souffle was asking about what the finish was that you mentioned. The one that she uses is the polyacrylic. Yeah,
Yeah,
water based. Water
yeah,
based, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and my phone should be not getting calls right now, so I don't know why I got one. I've got it scheduled to turn off for this. Um, what kind of brush do you use? Do you use a brush or do you use a foam? What do you use to brush it on?
I use a sponge brush
A sponge brush. Okay.
because I felt like I used bristles when I first started, like a bristle brush, but it started smearing my paint, and so I switched to a sponge brush because it's a lot easier and a lot easier to clean too.
Yeah, Yeah. And less expensive and all of that stuff. Yeah. Okay. So we know how you started in pyrography and what your first burner was and all of that stuff. Um, do you have a do you have a favorite piece that you've ever made that you I don't know, did you have one your favorite piece in your house, or is it one that we can remember?
Um, it was probably well, the one that you have is probably one of my favorites. And then the
Yes, yeah.
next yeah, and then the next piece is I did one for Hannah for Walnut Hollow. It was the Maker's Gonna Make piece.
Yes, I know exactly which one you're talking about, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, and I
Really
was
good.
so proud of myself when I did that because she gave me a color palette. She was like, if you could try and stick to these colors, that would be great. And so I'm looking at the colors and I'm going, how am I gonna do that? But I was so proud of myself because I was like, I'm
It's
gonna myself and I'm
yeah,
gonna how I can transform this piece. And so when I finished it, I was like, this is pretty cool.
yeah.
I'm proud. I actually think I did a really good
It's
job.
really, really beautiful. We'll make sure that we get a picture in the blog or something so that people can see it because it's so beautiful. Um, so people that are starting out pyrography, do you have any like pieces of advice that you could give to someone who's brand new at wood burning and trying wood burning?
Yeah, actually,
You're like,
my
do we have all day?
yeah. My biggest piece of advice would probably be, and I know this is really bad, but I just started doing this, and my husband was the one who made me start doing this, is
Safety.
wear a mask. Wear safety first, honestly, safety first, because this has just been a huge, it's a lifesaver, like literally. So
Yeah.
that and I saw a lot of people were really stepping up, and your safety video on YouTube was just kind of like, okay, I really need to start taking this seriously. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, come on now. So my husband got me a mask off of
Good.
Amazon. It was like, you need to start doing this because your lungs are important. So
Yeah.
so
Just a little
especially
bit.
yeah, just a little. I mean, they only help so. So he was
Good.
he
I'm
was
glad to hear that you're finally taking care of yourself. And everybody that's listening and watching, you absolutely need to take safety seriously. It's so important. So, so
yeah.
important. How much time do you spend generally on wood burning versus like the rest of your business? Like what percentage would you say you spend wood burning versus everything else?
I would probably say it's probably a good 50-50. I probably spend, 50% of it doing wood burning and then 50%
That's
shipping
pretty
out.
decent. That's better than most, honestly. I think a lot of people like the back end stuff ends up taking up a majority of their time. So good on you, because my percentage is like 99% back stuff and 1% wood burning at this point in time. So
Yeah, I know you've been busy.
I need to get back to the wood burning part because I miss it a lot. Um, what inspires you? Like what brings out all of these beautiful pieces? Like where do you draw inspiration from?
I love being in nature. So every time I see like a certain flower or a
Yeah.
plant or something, I'm like, I wonder if I could transfer that. I wonder if I can, But for me, it's really hard to put like a mental image of what I saw on paper. So I'm like,
Mhm.
it's it's hard for me to do that. But I love being in nature, and I love uh, just like because that's where I pretty much do all my florals and everything. They come from
Yeah.
what I've seen out in nature or whatever. And then
Yeah.
the biggest part is probably um, my faith definitely is something that inspires all, a majority of my work. Like I do a
Hmm.
ton of Bible verses and I do a lot of scriptures or quotes about God or you know all of that is
Hmm.
just and it's what started the business in the first place. So it's kind of like I want to incorporate that because that's like a part of who I am. So I want to
Yeah.
incorporate it into that's definitely a huge part of what inspires me for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. Um, Was it ever something that you were afraid of talking about or putting on your art, is like your faith? I mean, I know, I mean, for myself, I don't ever talk about my faith or anything like that. I don't know whether it's just like who I am or what I'm about, but um, is it ever something that you're like worried that you might lose followers, or you know what I mean, like that you might scare some people off, or that they aren't going to want to look at your other art because of that, you know what I mean? Is there anything that ever makes you afraid of posting about your faith, or has it always just been, no, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this, you know, and no problem, you follow me, you don't, I don't care?
Pretty much. There's been a lot of the times where I'm like, I put a piece out there that's really near and dear to my heart, has like a Bible
Mm-hmm.
scripture quote about God or something, and then I notice that, you know, a whole bunch of people are like unfollow, you know, and so, but for me, I'm like, that's okay, you know. I
Yeah,
mean,
you
I
can
don't
only live your truth, you know.
exactly, and you know, and since it's a part of who I am, I think every artist should put a part of who they are in their art,
Yeah,
and so it's a huge part of who I am. So I put it out there, and it reaches a certain audience, just like anything else would, you know.
yeah,
So for me, it was actually a really bold move for me to do that. And I'm a
yeah.
I'm a pretty reserved person and an introverted person.
Mm-hmm.
So to do that, it took a lot of courage and
Yes,
boldness for me to,
100%.
yeah.
100%. And that's why, like, I mean, I don't ever talk about my religion or anything like that, is because I don't, I'm like, I'm not that brave, is really what it comes down to. You know, I'm not brave enough to talk about like my values, or like, you know, what I think is wrong in the world and stuff like that on this platform for myself. But I think it's awesome to see people that do, you know, and stick to their guns and stick to their values and share it regardless, you know. And so I totally admire what you do, and I follow you even though we're not of the same faith, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like, I can still appreciate a beautiful burn, and I hope other people can too. But I'm also on the camp of how you feel about, like, well, if it's not for you, you don't have to follow me, and that's okay, you know, like, and that's
Yep.
fine. And you will, you know, you're going to attract the people that you want to attract, and that's great too, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly how I felt when I first started. So I was like, okay, this is going to be a big move on my part, and it's going to require a lot of bravery, and you know,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
going to put myself out there and see how it goes. And I found that I'm
right,
a lot more confident because of it.
yeah.
Like,
And that makes sense because you're
yeah,
able to share who you truly are, you know. Whereas like, and I mean, with my business, it's, I want to be as inclusive as possible, you know. And so like, I'm afraid, I don't want to scare anybody away. I want everybody to feel welcome and comfortable with what I'm doing. And so I, part of it is, I think I don't want to make people uncomfortable, but that's so silly when it's really just, it's who I am. So I would love to take a page out of your book and try and share more about my values and who I am and all of that stuff. But I'm also totally scared to do it, because I think that it's a really brave thing that you did and that you continue to do. Oh no. I want to commend your bravery, and I think it's great that you are sharing who you are and getting your art out there, and I mean, it's only helping and only wonderful. So I think it's great, and I think you should keep doing it.
thank you. I will.
Yeah, you should. Um, okay, so my next question is, I want to do the deserted island question because I want to dive into some of the wood burning actual, you know, all of that knowledge you've got in your brain. So deserted island, you have power, you get one type of wood, one burner, one nib, and one non-essential tool. What are you bringing?
Ooh, man. Uh, type of wood, basswood.
Okay.
I would hands down basswood. I would bring basswood. Type of burner, probably bring the razor tip. That's my like go to burner. And if I had, that's so hard because there's so many. Um,
Mm-hmm.
oh, geez.
Oh gosh. Can you see me okay? Your connection's getting a little funky. Connecting. Okay. Hi.
Awesome. There we go.
Hopefully this will work. We'll just see. Technology just makes things really interesting. I want to ask one more time. Okay. Deserted island. You, one type of wood, one burner, one nib, and one non-essential tool. What do you want to bring?
So for the wood, hands down, I'd choose basswood.
Okay.
For the burner, I would probably go with my razor tip, the SK, the single burner. For the nib, that's so hard to choose because there are so many. But I would probably do the ballpoint just because I feel like
I
it's cool.
well, and I mean, you would have to be able to do like your lettering videos, and if you didn't have the ballpoint, I don't know what to use. So
Yeah.
I'm here for that. Okay, and then what non-essential tool?
Um, a ruler or a straight edge of some sort.
Ooh.
That's probably be my non-essential tool because I need some sort of straight edge.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a really good one. So what are your favorite nibs then? Because I know that it's not just ballpoint. If you could bring, five, what five would you bring? Like what are some of your other favorite nibs that you have?
Well, I love this. I use this one a lot. The spoon shader. I don't know if you can see.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. It just makes shading so much easier. And those are kind of the only ones that I actually use. It's like the spoon shader and the ballpoint tip. I
So
have
you really need one other to bring to the island with you, and then you'd be set. You really wouldn't need anything else.
probably
I love it.
all of these tips right here that have
Yeah,
not ever been used. I haven't even used them because I use the ballpoint tips and the spoon shader all the time.
you'd probably like them too. It's just a matter of getting used to it. And when you go to burn, sometimes you're just like, I just want what's comfortable in my hand. I don't want to mess around with something new. So I get it. I totally get having all the nibs and only using two.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the one tip that I would love to use is the spear tip. I
Mm-hmm.
have one, but I would love to use it just to see what it would be like because they have like such
I've got several. You just need to come and borrow them.
okay, cool.
We'll just get you right over. It'll be great.
Awesome.
Um, okay, so what's your favorite transfer method if you use one, or do you prefer to just draw directly on the wood?
Most of the time I prefer to draw directly on the wood, but if I do transfer, like if someone gives me a specific design thing on wood, then I use the graphite paper. And this little trick that you had, I use a ton of your tricks,
That's
but they're
good.
cool. I love
Yes.
these little embossing tools. You had mentioned that like this makes it so much easier than like, drawing it out or like taking a pencil and tracing over it, taking a pen or something. And because then
Yeah.
you ruin the design.
Yeah, and then you can reuse it over and over and over again. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So this is
Well,
like,
and with that little wood one, I've even burned on my embossing tools that my little embossing tools have some character to them.
good
So you can,
idea. Try
yeah,
that.
just for fun. Um, what is your favorite way to keep your nibs clean? How are you cleaning your tools?
Um, well, I have to be honest and say I could be a lot better at that part.
That's
That's
okay.
one thing that I do not do frequently. I maybe do every once in a long time. But I definitely do need to be better at that. But if I do clean it, I usually use like a fine grit sandpaper, like a really tiny piece of fine grit sandpaper, or like a leather strap that I can
Mm-hmm.
just take it and wipe a
Put
little.
on there. Yeah.
Yeah, but
So
I
while you're burning, there's nothing that you use to like knock off some carbon. You just burn through the carbon.
pretty much.
That blows my mind.
I know. I really need to be better at cleaning my tips, but
That just because it especially blows my mind because all of your lines and all of your work. You have such clean lines, and I don't understand how you're doing it with a dirty tool like that.
I move really slow. I am so slow, and I just get in a groove where I'm like, no, I'm not gonna take the time to spend like 2 seconds to do this, even though I should.
It's so funny.
I just get in the
You know, whatever works. It's clear,
zone and I just forget to do it.
so whatever works. Any storage solutions that you found handy? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We live in a pretty small apartment, so I have to be creative with what I have for storage options. So the funny thing is that when I order wood from Walnut Hollow, those big boxes that they come in, until I have to use them. So I have a ton of boxes everywhere. And then when I finish a wood piece, they go into like a little storage bin with tissue paper in between them.
Oh, no.
So it's a really small space, but I have to kind of get creative with what I got.
Yeah, no. Hey, but that's what works, you know. And I like the idea of putting tissue paper between. That's a really smart move. That way they're not banging against each other and they're staying clean and all of that. Um, do you have any goals for My Art of Gold that you want to share with us?
Oh, that's such a hard question. I was thinking about this the other day and I was like, I honestly don't have too many right now just because we're starting to prepare to welcome this next little baby boy into the family, and so I feel like maybe my business side of things might have to take a bit of a back burner for right now, which is totally fine. I'm
Yeah,
that, you know, it comes first. It's first priority. So
yeah,
for specific goals, you know, I just create with a passion. That's pretty
yeah,
much all I got for now because I feel like things are going to be transition for all of us, or me and my
yeah.
family right now, because we're gonna have 2 kids and a baby. So I don't know how I'm gonna keep up with that going on right now. But I feel like taking a break, it's totally fine to just chill and take a rest.
No, it absolutely is. And it's necessary, you know, it's necessary to take the time to be with your family and adjust to the new normal and all of that. So you should take the time. And I'm glad that you can, you know, that's really nice that you can just kind of pause things when you want to and not. And that's what's so nice about having our own businesses is that you're in charge, you know? um, anything else that
Exactly.
you want to show us? And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. Let's see. Oh yeah, someone was asking how
Yeah.
you use
Well,
the embossing tool to transfer.
oh yeah.
Oh boy. It's really good. I'm sorry. I don't know why this keeps happening. It's very frustrating. It's been just the hardest thing about all of these interviews, and it's so frustrating because we're having such great conversation, and then it's like, and I can't hear you. I'm like, oh. But
Yeah.
the good news is I think everybody could hear you, so they got the answer to the question, which is wonderful. Is there anything else that you wanted to show us? Any wood burning hacks or your space where you wood burn or any projects that you're working on or anything like that? there's anybody out there watching and listening and has any questions, now's the time to really ask those. But yeah, if there's anything to show us, feel free.
Well, I get a lot of questions about the way that I take videos.
Yeah.
And it's a funny story. I do not have a tripod. I've never owned a tripod. I probably should invest in one, but I don't. I literally have a shoebox with a hanger through it and a rubber band where I stick my phone. That's it. That's all I have.
I'm like, how are we gonna get a picture of this if you have to put your phone into the thing? Like, I need to see a picture of this. That sounds.
I can actually show you. Because it's leaning against right here. But this is box right here. This is my tripod. And there's a hanger through it and a little rubber band.
I love the ingenuity.
Yep.
You know what, Mallory? If it works, don't fix it.
Exactly. Right? That's what amazing. I thought. I was like, it works. So it works.
That's amazing. I love it so much. It might be doing it again. I see that you're getting the little circle of death. So I'm hoping that we can finish this out.
It's a love-hate relationship with technology.
Right now, it's a little more hate and less love, and maybe that's my problem. Maybe I'll give it a little more. Someone is asking for advice for beginners.
Take your time. I learned that a long time ago. If you start rushing through the burn, you get really bumpy, and it just doesn't look as clean. But definitely take your time, and definitely safety. So wear a mask and take your time.
Yeah. I mean, taking your time, that's honestly the best of advice you can give to a photographer is take time. Anybody who struggles with any problem, like the first thing I want to say is slow down. Like go a little slower and it usually solves the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else that you want to show us or share? Any more art or you're working on or your space before we go?
I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, good. I wish that this was a little bit better technology wise, but it's still so good to see your face and to get to ask all the questions and chat with you and see your art and all of that stuff. So everybody make sure that you are following her on my goals if you're not already. And thank you so much for doing this with me, Mallory. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. This was awesome. I loved it.
It's so much fun. Is someone saying most hardwoods don't seem to smoke? Still recommend mask? Yes. Yes. Yep. If you're not seeing smoke doesn't mean that it's not there. Someone is asking what mask that is. Is it an RZ mask you have?
No, this is actually a base camp mask. My husband got it for me, so he was the one who purchased it. So it's a base camp. I'm not really familiar with the brand.
Okay. But you like it?
Yeah.
Good. It's cool. That's important.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Any other questions? Please just drop them into the stories and I will make sure to ask her. And then you see this on YouTube, edited to get rid of all of the frustration. And then you'll also see a blog post at some point down the road with more questions, photos, and all of that. Yeah, let's hear what someone said. Where can you buy them right now? All sites have checked or closed. I know that RZ is releasing some. I don't know whether it's daily or just every so often, but they are releasing some on occasion. So just be on the lookout for that. Oops, sorry. Anything else, you guys? I think that might be it. I so appreciate you doing this, Mallory.
Well, I'm so glad I got to do this and chat with you. It's so awesome to just finally do.
With my new quarantine bangs and all.
I think you look great.
You know, I have to do something. It's all gonna grow, so I needed something. I needed a change, and you know, it's not too bad. It'll work for now. Anyways, thank you so much. This was so much fun. You are such a joy. I love your art. I love what you're doing, and I think you're cool. So keep it up. All right, we'll see you later. Thank you so much, Mallory. If you can see me or hear me, bye. There you are.